Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Trilby's Notes. I am the Blues 32, and I think we just finished with the M- Mabuta, and his little story. Open door. Finally, Oh, it's you, Terry. I thought you might have been the serving staff at last. Ask about a bed about staff. You haven't seen any of the hotel staff since our first conversation in your room? No, it's very odd. I can only presume the hotel is closing, but it's still light outside. Hmm. Fair could say be. Oh, wait, I remember. Though I suppose I could have just asked out bed. Mr. Ailby, have you seen any of the hotel staff anywhere? I'm afraid not. Humph. Perhaps they go to bed early in these parts. Ask about seeing. No, wait. About O'Malley shipping. Do you know anything about the history of your family? I wouldn't be much of a history student if I didn't know, would I? I'm researching my family tree as part of my diploma. That's ideal. I appreciate this may sound like an odd question, but trust me when I say it's important. Did your family run a shipping company in the late 18th century? That is an odd question, but I do remember reading something about O'Malley shipping. I'd have to check my notes if my notes I left them in my book bag. Can you meet me in my room in about 5 minutes? I'm in 2A next to our bed. Certainly. I'll see you there then. Are you hitting on me, ma'am? I'm not complaining. Take pill. I needed to take a chill pill. Chill achieved. Knock on door. Door's open. Come in, please, Teddy. You have the papers? Must you always get right down to business? Come and sit down, let's talk. How are you feeling? We were a little worried about you. I have these moments of illness. What do you want to talk about? The film manner. Oh. It kind of interests me. I was really into the media coverage of the incident at the time. This client of yours, the one who wants the figurine, what does he know about it? Well, he has an interest in the occult, and there's some nonsense story going around about it. Something about the idol being a vessel for an evil ghost. I wasn't really paying attention. Really? I don't remember hearing about that in any of the reports. No, you wouldn't have. It wasn't widely. Have you heard the story that Trilby was in the house? I could feel cold sweat drooling down my spine. Every fiber of my being was concentrating on not giving any outward signs of alarm as Saban spoke of my secret name with wide-eyed enthusiasm. No one believes it, but Simone Taylor insisted it was true right up until, well, you know. She says he saved her from the house. I, I think that's a little far-fetched. That's exactly what the bed says. He says a ghost is one thing, but throwing Trilby into it just makes it seem silly. Truth be told, I don't think Abed believes in Trilby any more than he does ghosts. He's so grounded in reality. A sensible attitude. Have you always been an antique dealer? Saban, please, I came here to talk about... Let me put that another way. Have you ever been an antique dealer? I knew it. The outfit, the hat, Terry Railby. You're him. You were in the full manner, and now you've come to finish off the ghost. Saban, I always knew there was something else. In this world there was something better, more glamorous just below the surface. Take me with you? Listen to me. There's nothing glamorous about what I do. I live in the shadows that threaten to consume me every single day. And if you pursue this any further, you're going to walk straight into one. What are you talking about? There is something extremely dangerous in this hotel. I don't know what it is, but... Oh God. No! Oof. Hi! Kick. Demon. Wacha! Oh. Saban was out cold but uninjured. She would probably be safe on her bed while I continue my investigation. Look... Siban? Is that how you spell it? No. Cat! Knock it off! Sorry, it's the one cat that likes to chew on plastic bags. He was chewing on plastic bags. Or more accurately, the plastic wrapping around the pack of paper towels I have. Look, girl. I considered myself lucky that I was not as skilled in unarmed combat as I thought. Search bag. Under the circumstances, Saban probably wouldn't mind. There were a few text page books, a half-empty water bottle, and a large folder marked O'Malley Family History. This, I decided, was my quarry. I flipped through the pages until I reached the information relevant to the 18th century and read my discoveries aloud, for reasons I will not disclose. The Liverpool-based O'Malley Shipping Company ran for 3 generations of the family in the mid to late 18th century until the loss of one of their clippers drove the company to bankruptcy. The owner at the time, Jacob O'Malley, placed the blame somewhat irrationally on a shipping crate, which family legend alleged to be haunted, and had been on the ship at the time. Ugh. There are numerous tales of bizarre events surrounding the crate, and the story of the crate's origin is no less mysterious. It goes that a strange young man came to a carpenter at Liverpool dockyards with a very expensive-looking harpsichord, which he insisted be smashed up and the wood used for whatever purpose the carpenter desired. He refused to leave until the instrument had been utterly broken into its component parts in front of his eyes, and the wood sent to be made into crates for O'Malley Shipping. When pressed for his name, the man identified himself as one Jack Freehorn. The Rooms of Jack Freehorn, July 28th AD, 1778. So what trifle have you been wasting your father's money on now, Jack? What does it look like? It looks like a virginal. A harpsichord, actually, in the Flemish style. Quite old. Quite expensive. Well, I suppose I should be grateful that something is distracting you from the occult for once. I fear you may be speaking too soon, my friend. Oh, God, I should have known. You and your silly obsession. So what devilry inhabits this magnificent instrument? The instrument as a whole is for the most part untainted by the ethereal realm. But is the keys what spark my interest? Unusually, they have been carved from centuries-old English oak. And that's the interesting part. I will not be disheartened by that sharp tongue of yours. The wood has gone through many incarnations before being incorporated into this device. Items of furniture, building material. In fact, just over 200 years ago, it was part of a wall. A wall of a certain inn on a well-traveled road in Wales. The unicorn? I'm so pleased you remember. I could hardly forget it the way you have been obsessing quite heartily over it of late. Your correspondents persist in filling your head with rubbish about ghosts and demons. I count myself very lucky to have tracked down even a small piece of that history. I know I've already told you some of the wonderful stories attached to it. And this instrument has had its fair share of mysterious happenings. Ooh. The usual batch of strange noises, sudden madness, and inexplicable deaths. Since, my friend, this curiosity of yours for all things ungodly has no doubt already befouled your immortal soul. You are a fine fellow, Wilbur, but you have not a drop of romance in your body. Now stop browbeating me for my inquiring mind, and let us take dinner. That night, Jack was stirred from his bed by the sound of music emanating from his new instrument. His first thought was anger, mostly because the harpsichord was an antique never intended to be played. But then he listened to the haunting, melancholy tune and felt his stomach roll inexplicably with fear. Who's down there? Wilbur, is that you? Look self. Jack decided he looked as normal as ever. Look bed. A low, inexpensive double bed. It having recently been used, the sheets were in somewhat disarray. Make bed. Jack wasn't sure how to. Well, that explains a lot. Look desk. Jack's desk was covered untidily in letters, notes, and papers he had been studying lately. A flintlock pistol given to Jack by his father lay gathering dust atop a pile of correspondence. Take pistol. Jack took the gun with him to confront the intruder. Look gun. The gun was loaded with a shot and concealed in Jack's sleeve, ready for action. Nice. Jack could not take a step further because he realized with a lurch that he recognized the dark figure that sat at the keys. He had read of this strange entity that reoccurred frequently in stories surrounding the Unicorn Inn and the objects that were later constructed from its wood. And he knew with absolute certainty that the tall man would destroy him, were he not destroyed first. Look, tall man. The tall man was playing a haunting melody on the harpsichord. Except for his hands, his body was completely still. Listen. Look, harpsichord. Yeah, that's wrong. The absurdly expensive harpsichord was reportedly partially constructed from the wood of the notorious Unicorn Inn. Had Jack inadvertently welcomed into his house the evil of that place? Speak to demon. Jack knew that any attempt to interact with the creature could spell disaster. Shoot! Great, Jack. You won't take me, demon. Wow, good shot, right in the head. Wilbur? No. Oh God, no! But I could have sworn. You. I know you. You have... Oh God. Please forgive me, your majesty, for my transgressions. I am a worthless, craven fool, not worthy of a second of your precious time. I beg you spare me. I will redeem myself for my offense. I will be yours forever, my body, mind, and soul. Thank you, my lord. Thank you. Identified himself as one Jack Freehorn. This may well have been the same Jack Freehorn who went on to form a bizarre religious cult. A depraved group of paganist worshippers who were spoken of with much derision by conventional society. With my latest flashback, my knowledge of the history of the cursed wood gained another step. Before the crate, it had been a harpsichord, and some time before the harpsichord, it had been part of some kind of hostelry in Wales, an inn called the Unicorn. Why did that ring a bell somewhere in my recent memory? I had definitely seen something in the Clarence Barwin Hotel that was linked to the place, but where? Look, bed. A neatly laid bed in cheesy fabrics occupied the corner of the room. Look, girl. I stared blankly. Take paper. Victim 3, Freehorn. The third man who desired judgment was Freehorn, who had bought from those who made luxuries with the wood that was the prince's soul. The prince came and struck down the lover of Freehorn, and Freehorn knew the name of the king. Even though it was Freehorn what did the striking, and whether or not Wilbur was his lover is completely up in the air. And Freehorn said, I know you now, O prince who was the arrogant man, and I anticipate your wish, and I will devote myself to spreading the teachings you have brought me in the love of our king. Or he said, please forgive me, O Lord, I am a craven fool, not worthy of your basically he begged. And the prince was satisfied, and Freehorn called all those who would listen, and they formed an order of blessed agonies that would work to redeem the follies of the men of technology. Bullshit. Look. Okay, good. Those of you who have seen my earlier playthroughs know that sometimes things will happen. In fact, a thing might have already happened, and I just don't remember. What? What did it say? Linkman, wait! Take pill. I took another pill and waited for the anxiety to lift, but it did not. To my unending concern, I realized that the decay of the Eldritch Hotel had spread either to me or the pills, and they no longer worked. I had to find a way to restore their effect, or at least another method of calming myself. Meditate. Sleep. Open door. Relax. Chill out. Smoke a bowl. Toke up. You know, you're really making this difficult, Trilby. Look, walls. There was an interesting imprint of blood on the north wall, suggesting that some flayed victim had been hurled against it. Look, corpse. A horribly tormented soul was still lying on the central counter, limbs arranged oddly from spasms of agony. Look, knives. An array of unpleasant-looking utensils hung from a series of hooks, drooling fresh blood down the walls. Look, oven. The oven, the sole remnant of the kitchen's former usage, was stained from the inside with desperate handprints. Open oven. I didn't tell you to look at it again. Open door. Look, bugs. Each was about the size of a child's fist. They scuttled back and forth across the floor, slipping in and out of heavy cracks in the foundations. Looking at them made me feel quite nauseous. Look, bones. At least 2 individuals had met their sticky end down here. One of them been almost completely picked clean by the beetles. The other I noticed was heavily decayed except for its hand, which was fresh and pink. I wonder if this had something to do with the puddle of water it was lying in. Look, water. In the far corner of a room was a puddle of water created by drips from above. It had a curious color to it, and the drops seemed to glow with their own illumination. The liquid was having a strange effect on a nearby corpse. Take bug. I sensed that the insects were probably dangerous and should not be physically touched. Give meat to bugs. Look, meat. Look, bugs. The insects were too busy fighting each other for a mouthful of the rancid flesh to notice me. Drink water. It was almost as if the water was drawing me to it, not like a scrabbling thing in my mind like the chisel or the painting, but more like a beckoning siren. I couldn't help myself. I crouched down and dipped my hand in. It felt uncommonly refreshing, and brought an amount up to my lips, my unhygienic surroundings forgotten. As a pleasant feeling of simultaneous coolness and warmth spread from my stomach, I realized the water had some sort of rejuvenating effect. I had no explanation for this, but at the time I didn't care. I was beginning to feel in the back of my mind the familiar tickling sensation that indicated a reality shift, so I swiftly scooped up a few drops of the liquid into my pill bottle, shaking it through the remaining pills. Clever. Clever indeed. Look, knives. An array of kitchen utensils hung from a series of hooks on the north wall. Look, fridge. A vast, undecorated refrigerator stood in the corner. Open fridge. I had no interest in the hotel's food storage. Why not? You haven't eaten since you got here. Granted, your appetite's probably a bit thrown off, but, you know. Open door. Oh, Terry, it's you. Have you seen Saban? I was about to ask you that. What did you do to the girl? I hope you don't intend to seduce her away from my service. Abed, I need you to understand. You and I and Saban are all in critical danger. There is something evil in this hotel, and it's closing in fast. Mr. Railby, I've been over this hotel several times. Apart from us, there is absolutely nothing here. Please keep your fairy stories in the playroom where they belong. And yet you still haven't seen anything from the staff. Ask about Unicorn. Do you know anything about an inn called the Unicorn? Ah, you noticed my shingle. I picked it up as a curiosity at an antique fair a couple of years ago. Dates all the way back to the Elizabethan period, from what I understand. But I can't find a buyer for the damn thing. Don't suppose you have any clients who might go for it? Possibly. Do I have your permission to examine it? Of course. I may have to touch it to assess the texture. By all means do so. So long as you're not going to test its strength over your knee, or anything. Nothing quite like that. Touch shingle. The shingle's design was a simple one of a unicorn's head and profile, painted with average ability on a dark oak backing. As I pressed my fingertips to it, however, the design seemed to extrude from its backing like a hologram. It seemed to draw closer until my vision was filled with wood grain and mediocre brush strokes. Blech. I could vaguely detect the professor speaking to me on the very edge of hearing, but by the time I realized it, I was already gone. Somewhere in Wales, July 28th, A.D., 1581. Owen Somerset, a traveling merchant, was on his way back to his wife and family in London, having concluded some business dealings in there. caught suddenly by a summer storm, he spied an inn by the side of the road and marveled at his good fortune. Faith, 'tis an evil storm that blights the sky tonight. Aye, must have the Almighty on my side to find myself so close to an inn as it broke out. Aye, perhaps. The innkeeper seemed quite taciturn, but Owen was in a good mood and was determined for it not to leave him. It was probably too late to continue riding, even if the storm cleared. Owen decided to inquire after a room for the night. Ask innkeeper about room. Good evening, sir. Would it be possible to secure a bed for the night? Be a wiser man than I. Go from this place and never return. What? There is a curse upon this inn. I will not have an innocent doomed to the same fate as I. Ask about curse. Ask innkeeper about curse. I have plenty of gold to pay for my board. The devil cannot be bought off, me friend. What devil? What is the nature of this curse? This inn was built by my father 20 years ago. From the wood of a fallen oak he stumbled upon on an island north of here. He noticed human bones scattered around, but did not heed them. This inn has been a curse on our bloodline ever since. Madness and death claim those who stay here. This time last year it claimed my father. Soon I am certain it shall claim me. Insist on room. Talk to innkeeper about room. So why do you remain? I do not believe in fleeing from the mistakes of the past. If the Almighty wills that my family must pay for our errors, then this I accept. But I would not see another suffer for our sins. Leave now before the shadows take you. Sir, I have little patience for fables, and even less for riding after sundown in the middle of a downpour. Lend me a room, and I shall take the responsibility for my own well-being. You will insist? Not only will I insist, but I will pay whatever price you ask. Go then, take the upstairs room, and if you remain by the morn, you shall pay nothing at all. Thank. Open door. Look self. Owen decided he looked as normal as ever. I like your hat. Is it a hat? Sleep. Owen lay himself down, intending only to test the bed's softness, but in his exhaustion he quickly succumbed to sleep. In the early hours of the morning, something jolted Owen from his slumber. Piercing sound? No. Piercing smell. Sniff. Smell. Look. Smoke. Nothing seemed to be burning in the bedroom, so the smoke had to be coming from downstairs. Take sheets. Owen took the sheets with him, presumably for comfort. What are you suggesting? That he is some sort of baby man? Needing his blankie? Look, fire. A blaze had been set before the front door. By whom? The innkeeper? Call out. Talk. Owen was talking to himself. Use sheet to put out fire. Smother fire with sheet. What in God's name? Oh God. It's him! The innkeeper! What kind of... Who could have... Once again I returned, disoriented from my vision. I was closing in on the source of the madness. The innkeeper had said that the wood came from a tree on an island. Could that have been the clan's Bronwyn Island? Given what I was seeing, it seemed a valid, if worrying, possibility. Besides that, it would seem I had no other leads. So what would I do? I was determined not to let the trail end there. They were just a single clue. Take paper. Trilby, I know you are following a trail. Go to the roof if you wish to proceed. Linkman. Victim 2. The innkeeper. The second man who desired judgment was the innkeeper, who had bought the wood of the tree and built from it his house. The prince came to him and his guests, and he struck the innkeeper down, and the innkeeper knew the name of the king. And the prince turned to the innkeeper's guest and just rammed a pole through his head and said, "Fuck all." And he said, "You I shall not let live, for once before have I made this warning, and still my soul aches with what is done to the wood that is my soul, and I will spare no man who injures me in this way." And the innkeeper's guest knew the name of the king. It was Scutch. Gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. Alright then. Well, actually, save. I think we will end this video here. Said save. Obey my will. And save here. And I say unto you all, I am the Blues 32. This is Trilby's Notes. TTFN. Ta-ta for now.